Hello everyone, Nick here, and this is a reaction to Doctor Who Reacted episodes 0 and 1. I say episode 0, Introduction, and episode 1, SOS. So basically, Doctor Who Reacted is a audio drama series in the style of a podcast presented by three new characters talking about the TARDIS popping up throughout history and the mysterious appearances of the Doctor, and then the 13th Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, tries to get them to help her in a situation where her friends are disappearing from time, and other characters are going to pop up throughout the series that have been in the show. At the end of the episode, we see Rani Chandra, played by Anjali Mahindra, pop up, and we also meet another character from earlier in the series. This radio drama is basically everyday life kind of people getting involved in this out of the world situation after they start investigating conspiracy theories and stuff. Focusing on three women, one's trans, and it's a really good episode. The first episode is really good. It's really interesting. The introduction is focused on the 13th Doctor trying to get a message out to the universe and see if anybody can help. And Jodie Whittaker does a really great job. I suppose this series could effectively be unofficially named Jodie Whittaker's fourth series as Doctor, similar to Christopher Eccleston's first series of Big Finish audios being dubbed his unofficial second series. And the introduction is a nice start with the Doctor sending out the message and basically setting up the premise of her side of the story, what's going to happen, whilst episode 1 dives in to the three women, Abby, Shauna, and Cleo, the latter of whom is the trans character, and that's which is also the character we focus on the most in this particular episode. All three of us are really likable and really fun to follow and engage, and we start seeing parts of their everyday life as well as parts of the Blue Box podcast, which Abby sets up, and she's the most into the conspiracy series. Shauna is the skeptic and is basically just here to support the others. And Cleo could go either way. She's, I suppose it's okay to say they're on the fence about it. They could go either way. And they are on request of Abby. They go to speak to Penny Carter from Partners in Crime about what happened in that story. Though, writer Juno Dalton, I must correct you on one thing. Because Russell T Davies had that whole year jump from Aliens of London through to the end of Series 4, technically Partners in Crime takes place in 2009, not 2008, because of that whole year jump when the Doctor and Rose came back in Aliens of London, and it only kind of went back to normal because Planet of the Dead takes place in 2009. So basically all of Series 4 has to take place in the first 3 months of 2009 because that's Easter. It's put back on the timeline's put back on track the next by Planet of the Dead, but yeah, the other post stuff was 2009. But that's not a mark I'm going to hold against the episode. Heck, the unit dating controversy is far more complicated to worry about. So that's just more of a nitpick. But yeah, but other than that, it's really interesting to hear about the stuff about Adipose Industries. I also like the references to Linda and a couple of other events that have been mentioned. Graham and Ryan, following the events of Revolution of the Daleks, are mentioned to have disappeared, and the Doctor is supposedly the one involved in their disappearance. And throughout the episode, the Doctor is trying to get in contact with Cleo and the trio, but there seems to be some sort of interference with this voice message she sends to Cleo. Gets something goes wrong, and she doesn't take any notice, and then she manages, I think, was it Abby or Shauna? I think, or maybe it was Cleo again. She tries to send a letter to, and actually no, that was Rani. Was that the phone call? No, the Doctor was the letter, and then Rani called them. But yeah, the episode is very interesting, focusing on the three women doing their thing, and Cleo going to talk to Penny Carter about what happened in Partners in Crime, and just basically setting up the series, setting up the characters. We're probably going to learn more about the characters as we go along, as we've got some description about them in episode 0's description about them. And yeah, it's a pretty fun and interesting story, and yeah, it looks like it's going to be pretty interesting. The entire episode isn't completely formed in the form of a podcast. We just get that at the start, and then we just go into a normal audio drama later on, and we're probably going to get bits like that throughout the series, where there'll be bits of the podcast that they do, and then there'll be bits like a normal audio drama. It reminds me of a bit like the Torchwood Audio Scrape Jane, which was one of the God Amongst Us episodes, where it started off as a podcast by these two conspiracy theory people, and then something happens, and then the Torchwood team have to go in to investigate, and it just becomes a normal, and the podcast bit is presented like a podcast. There's also a bonus episode of this podcast released on an earlier release, I think, or on the same release that gives us a taste of what the podcast in the start of that episode is like. Basically, a bonus episode of God Amongst Us in the style of a podcast. But yeah, this episode was a pretty interesting start to the series. It'd be interesting to see what's going to happen as it goes along. It's going to be 10 episodes, not including the introduction. But yeah, 10 episodes. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on with the Doctor and why she needs these people to help her, and some other characters are going to pop up. Ronnie's just stuck first. We're going to get Kate and Osgood apparently later on as well. And we might even see some, whether it's played with the original actors or not, but we might see some other characters from the past of the show pop up again later on. So that'll be interesting to see here. Yeah. So overall, Doctor Who Redacted episodes 0 and 1 are really fun listens, and I do totally recommend checking them out. Oh boy, I can just hear the Not My Doctors screaming at the mere idea of these even being conceived, let alone existing. Ugh. But those guys can rot in hell. But you guys, the lovely audience, if you don't think this is for you, that's completely fine. That's understandable. But I still recommend listening to episodes 0 and 1, recycling bin van just outside, in case you're wondering what the sound was. I still recommend listening to Doctor Who Redacted episodes 0 and 1 on the BBC Sounds app. It's all website. I had a ton of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this series goes forward. Hopefully it will end up a little bit better than what we've had in some of the recent TV series, in terms of a start, middle, end. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this reaction. I'll see you guys next time for whatever comes next. I'll definitely try and react to each new episode as they come out. So, until then, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.